Hello, hello. So we're going to try and keep this talk really narrowly scoped to the impact of AI on skills acquisition and skills development. For those of you watching on the video, you have very little choice on this. But for those of you here with us in person, just look very stern and mouth yes if one of us is if I start to go off track with this. Because someone has already mentioned narcissism, I'll start off by introducing myself. I do developer education and developer outreach for money. In my free time, I co-founded the Bad Website Club, and we are a free online web dev bootcamp that served over 75,000 unique learners in the past 5-6 years. Oh, so I guess I do developer education for fun as well. That's not my chicken. I just think she's really pretty, and I have taught her nothing. I love languages, and I'm always really, really excited to hear what people are working on. Or every year for my birthday on social media, I ask people to show me pictures of their pets and tell me about their crimes so I can pass judgment. So if you'd like to do that, you can find me here on the socials. For those of you here in person, or again, out there on the internet, I would politely beg, if you come and chat to me afterwards, do not tell me anything interesting about your language. I love languages, I'm bad at learning them, and I have no self-control. Oh, everything's fine, everything's gonna be fine.
And hi, I'm Eda. I'm very excited to be here with Jess and all of you. So I'm a self-taught developer. I've been focusing on web technologies, and I'm a little scared to say that, but I'm also learning a little bit of Rust. So I'm interested in everything. In university, I studied English language and literature, and I've long been in these environments where people see humanities and technology as two completely separate things, and I very much disagree. And I also recently started volunteering for Code Your Future, which is an organization that helps folks learn new skills and get into tech. And it's based in the UK. They're pretty amazing, so you can check it out. I'm also on Mastodon and Blue Sky. Just come say hi or tell me what your dream was before getting into tech. So mine was becoming an ice skater. And
What ice skater?
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not going to make a joke about that.
You don't want to start out like on thin ice with the crowd.
Yeah. Sorry. Or you can send me a picture of your favorite pine trees. If you have those, I really love pine trees.
That's so
specific.
specific.
Yeah.
Okay, so most of you who are going to be here or watching us on the internet or watching us on the internet in the future, which glad to see there are still people out there, hope things turned out fine. We're sorry about stuff. But if you exist in the world today, or hopefully in the future, you have probably seen some hype that AI is going to be the only way to do development. AI is going to be the thing that saves development. AI is going to replace developers. AI is going to replace junior developers. AI is going to replace senior developers. These might be bombastic press releases from Claude Code, or this might be the new Gemini thing that your boss insists you have to do. But the point is, you've seen this. I'm not an AI doomer, but I am old enough to have been through more than one hype cycle before. And I'm kind of left wondering, hey, if this current situation we're existing in, were to recede, what are we going to be left with our skills? What's this doing to us?
And well, I'm not an AI doomer either, but I have some worries about, let's say, the road ahead for newcomers to the industry. So what we wanted to look at in this talk is what impact these much hyped AI coding tools are having on our skills as developers, as they are used now, and what the future of these impacts would look like if tools similar to the ones we have now continue to have the same impacts that we're seeing today.
Cool. So just to every lazy essay writer, or an AI, loves to start out with a definition. So let's look at a really high abstraction of how these LLMs generate code. How are they sort of working? This is a massive abstraction. This is hugely simplified. See me after class or on the internet to politely fight about it. But what we're going to do is we are going to start with a data set. Yeah. Where does this data set come from? Don't worry about it. Those data sets are collected. Hey. Oh, heck. And then models are built that's trained on that data. A user will query that model, either asking it a specific question, hey, can you make me a function that does this thing? Or the queries are being generated and sent as you're writing code. Hey, we want this next. Hey, do you want this next? What the LLMs that produce code are then doing is they're going to give you some output based on what they think, and I want to be super clear that they don't think. These are language models. They're taking the data that they've seen, and they don't see things, and they're looking, hey, this is a query about CSS classes. Has anybody used LLM coding with CSS? Oh, yeah, did it work? Did it make your life better? Oh, right. It's off topic, yeah.
Yeah.
Learning. So it's going to give you what it's seen associated with these queries in the past. I like to compare this to a really fancy autocorrect. And this isn't damning it with faint praise. Autocorrect can be super fancy, and these are super, super fancy autocorrect. But the big things I want to push is there's no thinking, and they're telling you, hey, based on other stuff I've seen in my data set, you might want this. I'm also not an expert in this space, but we're going to talk really briefly about how learning happens. Because I get to work with this bootcamp, I'm going to defer to actual experts that have come in to do some work with my learners in the past. Dr. Barbara Oakley, who's a neuroscientist who works on the intersection of neuroscience and learning, and Zach Caceres, who's worked with her on how we learn programming. Yeah, it's a complex topic, so just like the LLMs, we're going to simplify this way, way down.
So let's do just that. Learning happens when new neural pathways in our mind are built and when existing pathways are strengthened through use and connected to each other. So I like to think of this as a hedge maze where there's already paths made because we already know things. And the new things we learn are like us pushing through the bushes to make our own new paths, which gets easier to use as we keep using them and keep making that path through the bush bigger and wider. I think it's important to note that, like pushing through a hedge maze, that first part of establishing a new neural pathway usually involves a little friction to build it. And after we establish that new neural pathway, we need to practice what we learn to strengthen that link. We have a weak understanding at first, and with more and more practice, the stronger the links are, the easier we can go through that new path that we created. And to make it more complicated, there's really two types of learning, or two different ways that... Oh,
everything's fine.
All right, so there's two different ways that we can know something. Our learning can be declarative or procedural. And so when you have recall access to the information about something, you can describe it that's declarative. So for example, I know that this photo was taken by a Japanese newspaper in 1935, and that this man sells noodles. And procedural learning is when you learn a task or craft deeply and are able to draw on your skills in that task to do impressive things without needing to consciously recall knowledge. And that's when you develop something through practice. It's intuitive, like cycling. It's a bit slow to learn, but it's fast to use. And
my favorite example from this that isn't programming is Duolingo. So if you've ever used Duolingo, it has explainers for what's going on with the language, and it'll walk you through. Here's how to make a sentence. Please pick this. If anybody's ever used Duolingo, can you yell the language you were learning at me?
Japanese.
Japanese. Do you speak Japanese?
No.
No, you put a little bit of time into it, huh?
700 days.
700 days, fantastic. So you can have declarative learning that never really hits into procedural learning. Huh. Also, Duolingo is trash. Everything's fine and everything's going to be fine. So So far, we've got the big picture sketched out, highly abstracted how LLMs work, how learning works. Let's look at what using these tools might be doing to our individual brains, or our learning. Brains are meat, that's separate. So these tools generate the code for us. Whether that code's useful, whether that code's good, whether that code saves time is out of scope for this conversation. See me at the party. But it's cutting right through the friction we need. I don't need to push through the hedge maze to make a new path. I don't need to make these new neural connections. Because if I ask, hey, I'm not going to pick a name of one, hey, AI-friendly tool of choice, make me a function that does this, it's going to just give me the answer right now. Hey, you don't need to push through this hedge maze. You can get out here. This is abstracting away the higher level reasoning I need, or one needs, to go from here's the problem to the answer. It's taking away what I need, the friction, to push through these bits of hedge to start building more of these new pathways and deeper understanding to our way to procedural knowledge.
So AI coding tools can only produce output based on what they've seen in their data sets, like we mentioned before, which means that they can't produce creative or original work. And if you're working on a complex code base, legacy code, or edge cases, the common answer is going to often be the wrong answer. It's also going to prevent you from learning the problem-solving skills and business skills that you need to find the real answer. Or you might just want to do something weird for weirdness' sake. Has anyone heard of esoteric programming languages?
We've got like hardcore dedicated, like nerds in a complimentary sense. For those of you watching on the video, several people put their hands up, but with like the type of pride that you never see outside of like a bass fishing photo, just like, yeah, esoteric.
Yeah, so an esoteric programming language is created not necessarily to build things or for practical use, but usually just to be weird, as a creative act, maybe as a joke, or to win a competition. So you might have heard of some of them, but here are two of my favorites really fast. So this is bfunch, which is two-dimensional, and this is an infinite loop.
Oh, that's so cursed. I love her.
And this is SPL, the Shakespeare programming language, that you write as a play script. And characters are variables, and they edit each other's values using dialogue. And this is a Hello World program.
This is a Hello World program.
Yeah, it's too long.
Speak your mind. You're as bad as Hamlet. Oh, that's terrible. I love her.
Well, these don't seem to be very useful, so why would we use them, really? Maybe because AI can't replace developers with these languages, because there's not a lot of training data on them. It makes them very hard to be easily generated by an AI model.
Okay, but maybe not everything has to be useful either. Like, let's go back. This is so weird and delightful. I know that we all have to work jobs and we all exist within certain contexts, but weirdness for its own sake is pretty joyful. Not the opposite of joy, but to go in a different direction, let's talk about work. What do we think the accumulated use of these AI code tools are going to be doing either to our teams or to our projects? So because a team, the skill set available in the team is sort of the accumulated skill sets of all of the individuals available. It's more complicated than that. You've got to factor in time and communication and healthy working patterns, yes. But at no point will the skill sets available in your team be more than the skill sets available in your individual team members. Oof, sounds a little bit like human resources, huh? Ugh. But if we're creating a condition where individual developers who will be joining your teams or joining your projects are having these learning experiences abstracted away, excitingly, this means that you get to accumulate sort of the sediment of missing knowledge. So if everybody starts using these code tools, again, not for CSS, for deeply cursed reasons, but if everybody in the Rust space was like, yeah, we're all in on these AI code tools, we're going to use them all for, what's a hard thing in Rust? Everything?
Anyone can help me? Maybe metaprogramming.
Everything, okay. We're going to use these AI code tools for all of our Rust. And I can hear someone, again, in the distant future, screaming and sobbing at their YouTube. Sorry. Then, when we go to our teams, the individuals within these teams won't have had these fictive learning experiences to be able to build those neural pathways.
These tools don't just give you the answer without the friction needed to learn. They also produce code that is generated independent of your user needs, research, and your team's business use cases. Skipping over using your non-code skills like stakeholder management, requirements gathering, and detailed research means that these non-code skills that make your team and project really work aren't being learned by your team members. And these parts of your engineering process are being abstracted away for your developers.
So even as the grumbliest modern Luddite, I'm going to go ahead and say these AI code tools, I said I wasn't going to say whether or not they work or not, it's fine. They are fantastic at some things, and they are fantastic at building quick prototypes. And this is great if you have quick prototype needs. If you're building things that will never need to connect to each other, if you're building things that you never need to scale, and if you're building things you never need to maintain, you don't have to learn anything, you're free. But by using these tools, one of these things that we're missing between our teams are developing the skills to build scalable, maintainable, connectable software that exists as part of a larger system. If we get really, really used to turning these out as prototypes, we're going to have a real hard time going back to non-prototypes. Obviously, no one here has had this problem. But for those of you on the video, very much like me, some of us have gone back to code we've written, maybe in the distant past, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago if we're tired. And we're looking at code that wasn't especially well documented because I wrote it. And even when you have the friction, I had to learn this, I had to solve this, with time, those scars fade a bit. Going back and having to say, hey, me from 2 years ago, what the hell was this about? Makes it quite difficult to go back and maintain code. Something else these AI code tools are fantastic for is speeding that process right up. If you didn't write this code, if the answer was given to you out of the ether, or many, many environmentally taxing servers, you don't have the pathways built by struggling. You don't have that, oh, this was terrible to write, I remember this. You have code that you have no functional memory of so much faster, at scale. How fun. Oh, we're doing things to the industry too with this, I bet. That's fine. So in the same way that the skills of individuals build up to be the skills that are accumulated and available in your teams, this is true throughout the industry. The skill sets available in your individuals become the skill sets available in your teams and projects and determine what you're going to be able to do and how you're going to be able to learn together. Scary, but collaborative. I like it. And we talk all the time about skills gaps in the tech industry at large. This is giving us a really fun, really automated way to make this scarier faster. If we're seeing wide-scale adoption in specific areas, and one thing I'm really excited about is these tools can be pretty expensive to use. We're going to see uneven adoption, which may hurt folks right now who are looking to break into the industry and AI code tools are being touted as something they need as a skill. But seeing folks who are developing as developers now who aren't using these tools in different geographies, seeing a really uneven access to these skills build up or not in the industry at large is pretty exciting. Exciting cannot always be a good thing. It can be bad too. Exciting.
And this industry level gap is likely to be increasingly visible over time for talent emerging now who are using these tools as they work to build their understanding of foundational programming and engineering tasks. The abstraction these tools provide may prevent the development of procedural learning for these foundational concepts that allow new engineers to become really great seniors.
Oh, so like when you're first starting, if you're leaning on these tools for learning the basics, you're not building those pathways for the basics?
Exactly.
Oh, that's fine. I'm sure that's fine. Something else that's fine is chill, is we're seeing that this hype, AI will replace developers, you don't need, has anybody seen or heard or read muttered threats? We don't need to hire junior developers. We've got tool name. I have my own prickly opinions whether or not AI tool use can functionally replace juniors. Again, see me after class, video, see me on the internet. But one thing we're seeing a lot of discourse about from CEOs, middle managers, just all of the dullest people to ever claw their way into power over others, is this idea that, oh, we can take an existing problem in tech. Where are the new senior engineers going to come from? And we can make this worse, faster, at scale. We can automate it. How? I've been trying not to swear on stage. That's fine, and everything, I'm sure, is going to be fine. But also, this isn't just juniors. This would be a problem if it was just juniors. But this threat that AI can replace you, AI will replace you, is something we're hearing addressed in senior and middleweight talent as well. The same time as CEOs are touting the efficiency in their investment in these tools, they're running layoffs. The idea that these tools, I promise, we'll get to learning, we'll get there together. The idea that these tools can be used to displace or replace creative, reasonably difficult to source, and relative to other industries, pretty well-paid work should be something that should be really scary. Whether or not this is intentional by employers and intentional by these tool makers might not be the main point. Industry-wide and as individuals, we learn best when we're not scared. Junior developers trying to break into the field or seniors, we work best when we have jobs, we're not freaked out, and we've got space to learn. Being afraid, whether it's intentional or not, that AI will replace us is not setting us up to learn as individuals, as teams, or industry-wide. So I think I might have mentioned that a buddy of mine who's seen a couple of my conference talks asked why I bother doing new ones. Because all of my conference talks are variations of, we're doomed, everything's going to be terrible forever, but like in a happy voice, which I'm told it's no, huh?
But you know, maybe there's things that we can do, no?
But like, okay, for individuals, there might be some stuff we could do.
Yeah. Maybe we can push back on how these tools impact our skills development by making a mindful choice to build in learning experiences to compensate for the abstraction that these tools provide. So as a learner, I know that there is a bunch of different approaches to learning. So one method that works for you may not work for somebody else. But I think it's important to emphasize the mindful or intentional aspect of learning. So not just surrendering yourself to an autonomous agent and let it take the wheel, but be more present. And if it's okay, let's look at some of our favorite approaches to self-guided learning.
Yes. So this one's my favorite one because I like to spend money. Formal courses. So like I've always wanted to do Recurse Center, but like if you've got the time, taking the time out and say, hey, I'm going to dedicate a couple hours a week to learning or 3 months to learning. Just sitting down and learning for learning's like, yeah.
And yeah, we can create silly or serious side projects.
That's think silly or serious?
Or both.
Or both. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Could be, maybe.
All right, look. You could just read a bunch. It is pulling in that declarative knowledge, but getting to reinforce some of the concepts you're getting to see aren't going to hurt you.
And we can keep a learning journal. Maybe that's a thing that you might be interested in doing, because people love to write.
I have definitely pledged to do daily code exercises and have never in my entire very long life followed through. But for people who have is self-control. These are, if any of you have cracked the secret to this, again, please come find me, I'm desperate.
And again, it's similar to keeping a learning journal, I think, but you can write blog posts about the things that you're learning, and sharing them, it's a win-win, so it's both good for you and for the readers.
And thought leadership. I hear we need more thought leadership. But also, if you're using these tools, and when you're using these tools, slowing down. It's really tempting to be given the answer and say, I'm out. Especially if you're in an environment where having the right answer, having the output is more important, is being presented as more important than learning or understanding. But taking a look at these outputted code and saying, hey, what's happening here? Do I understand what's going on? And this might work. Is this actually what I need? Is not just good learning, but also probably going to make your life a lot easier for code quality. Okay, so what we can do for our teams is a really fun answer because it depends. Anybody, ooh, how exciting. Anybody here a manager or the boss? Please look world weary in response. The good news is if you're a manager, you have a ton of space to really impact the impact of these tools on your team's skills development. The bad news is it's also your responsibility. Oh, building learning time into your timelines? Hey, it's going to take a little bit longer than we could do because we want to understand what we're building and sharing that information. Code reviews that actually check for understanding. You're not cornering your team members like, do you understand this? Did AI build it? Like, hey, walk me through why you chose to do it this way. Hey, what's this doing here? Actually checking to see that your team members, as well as you, understand what you're building and why. Make time for skill sharing built into team processes. Right now, we've still got seniors around who built these skills before these tools came around. Corner them while you can. Make them share. And if you're in a position to decide when and how these tools are used, be really judicious and thoughtful about how and where these tools are supplied and encouraged and evaluated by your team members. So, hey, we've got this new thing, we've got approval, we can use it, is not always a great reason to use a tool in every settings. So really thinking, does this fit for my team and does this fit for my use case? Go ahead and, the same way I like to spend money on training, I love to spend the boss's money on training. Carve out, for folks on the video, there was a light chuckle. It was very polite. It was very sort of 6:30 p.m. cocktail hour, very sophisticated. Making sure that folks have time and budget where possible for really dedicated learning. I love good news and bad news at the same time. Who here is not a manager? Look extremely tired. Right? So the good news is there's not a lot you can do. And the bad news is there's not a lot you can do. So you can try and talk to your managers. I need more time for learning. Hey, we should better understand how we're doing this. But your ability to talk anyone into anything is hard on a good day and real hard in 2025, where everybody's been having a difficult time for a while. You can push really hard on this, but it's not always going to work.
Okay, but Jess, isn't there anything that we can do for the tech industry as a whole?
Oh,
Maybe.
Like as individuals, fix the entire tech industry.
Yeah, why not?
Less. So, sure, if you in the future, hey, see this talk and you're like, wow, that was such a good talk, Jess is so funny, Ed is so smart, weird, and you are so inspired that this is the one thing that you're going to care about. This is your one hill you're going to die on. You're going to go for it, and every single day you're going to fight for the tech industry as a whole, being better at addressing potential skills gaps accumulation because of AI tool use. You could do that, but that's so weird. I don't know if y'all have been outside recently, but stuff sucks. There's a lot going on, and if you have that kind of passion, and if you have that kind of time and energy, please come see me after class, because there's a bunch of other stuff you could point this at. This is one of my favorite artists, Claire Douglas, and I really like it because this is her, she does a painting series. Her first one was In Paradise. This is our modern dystopia. And really notably, it's got like aspects of the UK's best city painted into it. So it's all about how, yeah, Birmingham. Ooh. Again, we got the exact same polite chuckle. And folks were like, oh, yeah, because the video's not mic'd. They've got to just go with what I say. It's fine. Everybody was like, yeah, Birmingham, it's the best. So you could do that, but what if we did something else instead? What if we looked at how we could maybe support each other instead of trying to fix the industry?
And maybe one of the things that we can do is just teach and mentor. It's one of the best ways to share knowledge, and it will help you with your own skills too, so it's a win-win, right? And you can support emerging talent, so their success is a lever for keeping the industry healthy.
Oh, and this relates to learning, I promise. Reinforce healthy working patterns. Join a union, get other people to join a union, build up conditions where folks can't corner you and make you afraid. Sure. Okay, it's 2025. Build up conditions where folks can make you a little bit less afraid and things will be a little bit less bad. Let's keep our expectations realistic. Yes, this would make the world a better place, but it would make the world a better place in ways that build and defend the kind of spaces and the kind of safety you need to learn. Computers were a mistake, huh? Ah, yeah. Grim, but that's all we have. Thank you so much.